Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on bringing bad news to leftists every single day. Here's something that I think is objectively true about the left. I don't think leftists really know what it is that they truly want. They tell themselves they want to defund the police for racial justice, but do they really? I don't think so. I think that's what they think is right for others, but they certainly don't want it for themselves. No, of course not. The elitist leftoids who push that kind of nonsense are the same ones living in gated communities, in heavily policed areas with well-funded police departments. And here's another question, or I guess the question of the day. Leftoids thought that what they wanted to see was Trump getting indicted, the justice system finally holding him accountable for all of these crimes that only exist in their own frickin' minds. They truly believed that what they wanted and what they needed was a lawfare campaign to end the threat of Donald Trump. We remember back in 2021, after the Democrats' last-ditch failed impeachment effort following January 6th, Nancy Pelosi took to the media and said, well, we may have failed in this impeachment effort, but don't worry, we still got New York, we still got some things happening. Trump isn't off the hook just yet. They thought that's what they wanted. But let's just say things are changing quite quickly. The Trump indictments are backfiring, everybody can see it, especially CNN, as they're now realizing that the lawfare campaign is backfiring spectacularly, even claiming that if Letitia James does what she's promising she's gonna do, which is seize Donald Trump's properties, that it's essentially gonna guarantee that Donald Trump wins the election. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so I guess we'll introduce this video by saying CNN gets a reality check.
I want you to remember this moment, and don't forget it. If the New York Attorney General starts to take his homes away, starts to seize his assets, it's all going to be on camera. Pundits are going to sit there and scream about this. This man cannot be elected. You're going to create the greatest victimhood of 2024, and you're going to elect Donald Trump. If they take his stuff, he's going to say that this is proof that the federal government and the establishment and the swamp in Washington and all the politicians across the country and the attorneys generals and all of this, that this is a conspiracy to deny him the presidency. He's going to go up in the polls just like he went up every single time they indicted him. The indictment, let's not talk about whether it's justified or not, but it will prove the things that he's saying on the campaign trail, and he will go up, and it may just elect him president. Do not forget that. And I say this to the Attorney General right now. If you play politics on this, this is what the secretaries of state did in Colorado and what they did in, I believe, was Maine. His numbers went up in both states. I don't understand. I'm almost speechless in how pathetic the opposition to Trump has been and how completely misguided. And this is a perfect example of it.
What do you think about that? I mean, my biggest question, this is the beauty of Frank having his job, which I don't have, is that happened, what you're talking about, Maine, Colorado, when you're talking about what happened in a primary. And while I don't disagree with the optics, I've spoken to people inside Trump world who are saying, instead of bankruptcy, we sit in the peace. Come to Trump Tower, please. We'll have cameras there. We'll have that fight. We'll win that optics battle. I think the bigger question is, in a general election, and given the fact that the Biden campaign has really latched on to this in a way that they haven't in most legal issues.
Broke down. I've been surprised to hear that.
He was joking about it last night at a fundraiser as well that was off camera, whether or not that rise in the polls can carry into a general election. And you'd know better you're talking to people, you'd know better.
How is Donald Trump beating Joe Biden when he's got 85 indictments that still exist? Felonies. How is he beating Joe Biden with the economy getting better and things cleaning up? Okay, you got still have inflation, you still have got immigration. Trump is leading, and in the 7 swing states, Trump is up by the margin of error in 5 out of 7. Why is that happening? Because his critics are stupid, and they're running a horrible campaign. And for those people who do not want Donald Trump back, they should be thankful that the people who are orchestrating his loss are as pathetic and they don't understand the American people.
Quick last.
A lot of really great quotes there. Frank Luntz explicitly says, you are going to elect Donald Trump if you seize his properties. He then went on to call the Democrats' strategy stupid. And so essentially what you have here is an establishment Republican pollster. I mean, this is what Frank Luntz does. He works in the world of polling and focus groups. And keep in mind that Mr. Luntz does not want to see Donald Trump elected again. He absolutely hates Trump. He's an anti-Trump, never-Trump rhino, unable to deny the reality. He doesn't want to be presenting this information, but he's left with no other choice because it's the truth and this is what's going on. You know, we see all kinds of interesting narratives bubbling up. You know, Democrats want to focus on specific information that they think tells a different story, a story that Joe Biden is somehow miraculously actually in the lead. Leftoids love to point to the fundraising advantage that Democrats currently have, even though it makes sense that Donald Trump would be in a fundraising deficit considering the Republican nomination process just wrapped up. Not to mention Donald Trump won in 2016 with way less money than Hillary Clinton had. Let's not forget the 2016 dynamic.
Hillary Clinton and her campaign allies have spent $23 million in 8 battleground states on television advertising. The Trump campaign has spent $0.
Isn't that impressive?
Barack Obama heavily outspent Mitt Romney. It
But
really
they're
hurt him
different than me.
hurt him in the campaign. George W. Bush heavily outspent John Kerry. You say history doesn't matter.
With an astounding upset victory, Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime.
Trump beat Hillary Clinton despite the fact that she was working with tens of millions of dollars extra in some of the most key battleground states. Democrats want to focus on the fundraising. We get it. You have the billionaire class behind you. It doesn't mean jack squat. You Democrats can have all the hundreds of millions of dollars of your dreams. They can spend $20 million more in every single battleground state. If they keep doing what they're doing, it's not going to matter. Every time they indict him, they essentially inject tens of millions of dollars into the Trump campaign worth of fundraising and actual narrative setting. Every single time they claim that all Trump supporters are deplorable, anytime Joe Biden releases an ad like he does recently, essentially calling Donald Trump a Nazi and drawing back to Charlottesville, pushing the Very Fine People hoax, every time they do that, they inject cash into the pro-Trump electoral cause. And now could you imagine if Letitia James seizes Donald Trump's building, what that would do for Donald Trump's sort of martyrdom status? It's going to shoot him through the roof in terms of public support, like we've never seen before. But the question is, I guess, what else are the Democrats expected to do? What other options do they have? See, that's where in a way I don't exactly blame the Democrats. They don't have anything else to run with. You know, during Frank Luntz's appearance on CNN, in a way it felt as though he was attempting to give suggestions or advice to the Biden campaign. He was suggesting that they should focus on the supposed recovering economy. And while that sounds nice, and I'm sure the CNN audience eats that stuff up, in reality, that's not a real option for the Biden administration, and even CNN knows that.
In a way that they simply put never have before. And so if you ask voters, who do you think would do a better job handling border security and immigration, what do we see? We see that back in 2020, it was basically a dead even split, right? Joe Biden was slightly favored on it, but not overwhelmingly. And of course, he slightly won the election, not overwhelmingly so. Look at where we are today. In a Marquette University Law School poll that was put out last month, look at that advantage that Joe Biden has that Donald Trump has on immigration and border security. It's near 30 points. This is a tremendous change that's going on, and it's no wonder that Donald Trump is running on immigration, and it's because that voters at this particular point are quite concerned about immigration, and they trust Donald Trump on this particular issue. Hispanic voters might be the types of folks who would have a backlash against Donald Trump's remarks, right? Ain't the case. If you ask Hispanic voters who do they trust more on border security and immigration, overwhelmingly they trust Donald Trump more by a tremendous margin. Look at that, 49% to 24%.
They can't run on the economy. They can't run on border security. They're underwater on all the most major issues. And the idea that the economy has recovered and is just so fantastic for the average American, well, it just isn't a realistic campaign messaging strategy. We're seeing home foreclosures rising nationwide by 50% or more in some states. People can't keep up with their mortgage payments. We've noticed a huge uptick in people losing their homes because they're unable to keep up. And while Joe Biden has declared victory on inflation, inflation remains sticky and at heightened levels. The Fed rate remains unchanged, and so life is still hard for your average American. Is the top, let's call it 10% benefiting the asset class? Of course rich people are benefiting in times of inflation, but the reality is regular people aren't. And so Democrats don't have the option, I guess, to run on the merit. They don't have the option to run on their policies or their performance, and so this is their only option. Lawfare. Weaponizing the justice system to destroy Donald Trump, and now they're talking about seizing his properties. Letitia James wants to take Trump Tower as a substitution for Donald Trump's $450 million bond payment. You know, it's crazy the fact that those words even left my mouth. But that's real. Letitia James was serious when she said it.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court. And we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
And so it seems the Trump deranged have fully committed to this strategy. They think it's what they want. Democrats think they want to continue to indict the former president. They think they want to seize his properties so they can celebrate on Twitter, Orange Man BTFO'd. And while it might be fun for a little momentary, Twitter Reddit celebration, in reality, the electoral consequences should theoretically be devastating for the Democrats. And it seems as though they're finally realizing that, and at least some people are realizing it, and they're sounding the alarm. The only question is anybody going to listen? I don't think so. I don't think Letitia James is going to listen. Letitia James isn't actually interested in stopping Donald Trump from becoming president again. I don't think she really cares. Letitia James is only interested in one person and one person alone, and that's Letitia James. She'll do whatever she has to do to paint herself, to cast herself as an anti-Trump force to be reckoned with. And the cost of that Letitia James self-promotion campaign might be control of the White House heading into 2024. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.